I've always had an interest in learning how to read the runes, but with my focus being tarot, this interest has always kind of taken the back seat or has been very start and stop as I've tried to learn throughout the years. As I'm trying to take a more serious approach to learning the runes, I thought I would share with you what tools and resources I am using in my journey to learning and understanding the runes at a higher level. So if you're interested in seeing what tools exactly I'm using, keep watching and let's get into it. So I did a review, I feel like I uploaded it a couple months ago now, of the Runic Tarot, and in that video I mentioned that I'd been studying the runes and trying to find ways to learn them, and that I had created some different methods, or I had different practices I was using to try to learn the runes. I asked if anybody was interested. I did have a subscriber that mentioned she was interested in seeing what I'm doing, and even mentioned that it'd be interesting to do something where we could learn the runes together. So I thought that was a fantastic suggestion. And since she mentioned she wanted to see that, I thought maybe there'd be more of you who would want to see something like that. So today what I'm going to be doing is talking about what kind of tools I use, what I have going on in my, what can I call the syllabus, arsenal of rune learning tools, as well as just runes in general. I'll be sharing what kind of runes I have with you. But I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to show you what I'm doing to learn, and then I'm going to jump into a series where I'm going to be teaching the runes as I myself learn them. So what I learn about them as I go along the way, I will be sharing that information with you. This is going to be in terms of using the runes for divinatory purposes, for readings, that sort of thing, but I will be going ahead and breaking down the traditional meanings and how that has been seen for divinatory purposes and all of that in that series. I'm thinking the way I'm going to make those videos is we'll study 3 runes per video. So this is going to be on the Elderfith art, and you can just use those as references. So I hope that will end up being helpful for you all, but I am really excited to kick this off because I feel like this is going to kick my rune study into high gear, and I can share what I'm learning with all of you. Okay, so in terms of what I have been using for my personal runic studies, this book is really the main original thing that I purchased to start learning the runes. It's called Nordic Runes. This is by Paul Riss Mountfort. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but this book says up here, Understanding, Casting, and Interpreting the Ancient Viking Oracle. So that sounded like something that was within the vein of what I'm trying to do here. So I purchased this book a handful of years ago, but like I said, it took me a while before I started learning the runes more seriously. To be honest, for a long time, I would just sort of pull a rune and then kind of find it in the book, read about it, that sort of thing. When I first got the book, I read the introduction and got a feel for it, but I didn't ever just sit and read it all in one go, and I never really have used it that way. I've always used it more so as a reference. If you have any other books on the runes you recommend, even more historical books, whatever it may be, go ahead and put those in the comments, because this is so far all I have, and I am wanting to add a couple more books to my library, so I have a couple different references, because with only one reference you don't have anything to compare it against. So I like having physical books, though. Obviously I can do a little research online and there's different ways to learn, but the majority of my studies have come from one book, which is not super well-rounded in my opinion. So if you have any other recommendations, please put those in the comments below. As for the runes I have this little bag here. These are my favorites. These are the ones that I've been studying with the most and wanting to work with the most. These were a find on Etsy. If you are interested in them for yourself, I'll try to find them on Etsy and link them below so you can check them out. But these are really beautiful. These are etched into wood. I just love the knot work on them. I thought they were really beautiful, and I kind of like wood for the runes. I don't know, it just felt right. You can find runes in many different materials. Obviously wood, crystals, those are the two that you see the most. People will make runes out of whatever they find, though. You can just use little rocks. A lot of people make their own runes, which I've thought about doing. Maybe I'll make a video on making your own runes, I don't know. And that's another option as well if you don't want to invest in purchasing an actual set of runes. So then I have these other runes, which are a gemstone rune. These are green aventurine. So those are my rune sets that I have. This here is my husband's rune set, just to show you different ways you can get them. These are also etched into gemstone. I believe this Mookite jasper? I know it is a jasper, I can't remember. Just to show you, these are a little more uniform though. So notice these are all kind of a similar shape. They're not perfect because they are made from stones, but they are a little bit more uniform. Here you have all different types of sizes. Do you see what I mean? Like this is totally a completely different shape from this, whereas these are a little more uniform. But yeah, so you can find them more like this, and obviously if you were to make your own rune set, it's going to look a little more like this. If you just use like rocks you find out, you know, in your nearby forest or whatever, they're going to be different sizes. So you're going to probably end up with something more like this rather than something uniform like this. You can find runes for pretty cheap on Amazon though. I don't know what the quality will be like, but that's also an option. These are both from the same metaphysical shop, but you can find them online all day long for I think I've even seen them for like $15 or less. So you can totally find some runes online for a pretty accessible price, I think. So those are the runes that I have. You don't necessarily need a rune set to start studying the runes. I think it is helpful, and I think it's a little more encouraging when you actually have a set of runes you can maybe do little like practice readings with and just holding the runes, looking at them. I don't know, I think it is helpful, I suppose, to learn them. You don't absolutely have to have it, but I would think that after a certain point in your studies, you would want to make that investment or make yourself a set of runes so you can practice actually reading with them. So another resource that I have outside of this book is flashcards. I made these for myself, obviously, but I made them of each of the runes, and then what I did was on the back, I just put notes. So obviously I put the name of the rune, so this is Fehu, traditional meaning or just simple keywords, cattle and wealth, and then I go into some bullet point breakdowns of what that rune means. I put all these little notes here so I could reference all of these things that I've read. Honestly, the flashcards have been the most helpful thing for me in learning the runes. I have this thing that I do where obviously I can just look at the card, try to remember the name of the rune, what it is, and then flip and check. That's the best way to use them, I think, but I actually have used them in conjunction with the runes where I'll just pull a random rune out and try to see if I can remember the name of it and what it is, and then I'll go flip and find it in my pile of flashcards and see if I'm right. Obviously it's a little redundant, you could just use the cards, but I don't know, that's how I've liked doing it. And you could obviously just reference in your book, but I don't know, there's something about the element of using the flashcards that has been really helpful for me. To me, when I made these flashcards, that's when I noticed a shift in my studies where I felt like I actually was retaining and memorizing the meanings of the different runes. So yeah. The other thing that I use that I have is this rune blessing guide. So this is just a quick guide. You don't have to flip through a book. You don't have to find the flashcard. You can find things like this online. I'm sure this came with my husband's runes when I purchased them for him. So this has just a couple quick key terms of the meanings for each of the runes. So this is another nice thing to have. You can create your own key as well if you don't find one you really like online. You can just kind of find keywords for each of them that you find to be helpful and print something like that out and just have it on hand, or keep it on your phone somewhere where you can easily get to it and use something like this as a quick reference. And obviously this whole thing came about because of my review on this deck, but the Runic Tarot is another tool that if you already have this on hand and you're wanting to learn the runes, cool. I'm not saying go out and buy a whole deck if you're not sure you want it or whatever, but if you have it on hand or you're interested in it, it can be a cool resource to have when learning the runes. Obviously, if you are currently reading tarot or more familiar with the meanings of the tarot cards, this can be a helpful tool to kind of bridge that gap. That's how I'm kind of looking at it. This could potentially be a good option for you is the Runic Tarot. Something that I did before I even purchased the Runic Tarot was in my studies, I would look at the meanings of the cards. I noticed this particularly when I was making these flashcards. As I was filling out those flashcards, I would think of things that reminded me of certain cards in the tarot. So I pulled out a piece of paper and I would write down the name of the rune and which tarot card it reminds me of. And that kind of helped me bridge that gap on my own. I think that making your own list will probably be most helpful to you personally in your own studies of learning the runes. All right, so those are the tools that I use for studying the runes. That's how I've been learning them. I'm really excited to jump into my series of breaking down and learning the runes with you guys. So I will probably be going in order of the runic alphabet. Again, this is the Elder Futhark. If you are going to be looking up meanings and starting to create your own guide or create your own flashcards, but maybe we can do that together throughout the series as well. Maybe just get some index cards and you can make those flashcards as we go. So if you're interested in that, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when those videos upload. It'll notify you when all my videos upload, but that way you don't miss out on the rune videos that you're wanting to see. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you find these little tips on what I'm doing to learn the runes to be helpful and kind of inspire you to maybe get some different tools or start working on your own little flashcards or whatever to start learning those runes and studying them. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care and be well. Bye guys.